Welcome back to the 2023 Roger Albert Clark Rally. We're about to see our rally leaders through the 10th stage here on day 2, the 3rd stage of the day. And already, Matt Cotton, we have seen battles opening up and the lead changing hands.
My Heron. I don't think you need to say anything more than that, do you? Just those words, My Heron. It always throws up surprises historically. Always has, I guess. Any of the complex here in Mid Wales has always been a tricky prospect for anybody, and if you're a little bit brave, you can open up a bit of time, and that's exactly what Oliver was.
Yeah, not just opened up a bit of time, took some vital time, didn't he? Because they were on identical times, Oliver Solberg and Ocean Price going into the 9th stage. And then 11 or so miles later, our Swedish WRC star is now leading, and you've got to say he's got to grips with these Welsh stages, which he's never done before, and it's very difficult, I think, for people watching at home to not fall into the trap of thinking, well, he's a WRC driver, surely he can blitz everybody here. But it's a level playing field in these cars on these stages. The Welsh knowledge is formidable.
It's an art. It's an art form, I think, driving a Mark II Escort like that and driving a Mark II Escort quickly. You have to have a something, I mean, there's probably an English word for this, but a je ne sais quoi, I guess. Something that you need inside you.
Big balls.
See, you just lowered the tone. But yeah, I mean,
That's the English version of je ne sais quoi.
It is, yeah. You have to have absolutely something. And obviously Oliver's had the seat time this year. He's had bums on seats, which Ocean hasn't had. But Ocean has the experience of the Mark II a lot more than Oliver. So I guess in a way, it actually probably levels the playing field a little bit. But maybe just Oliver has if you approach that with a slightly more gung-ho attitude, then that's where the seconds can be got.
And luck plays into this, as we all well know this game, and you've got Oliver having some very good luck getting away, doing a bit of a lobe, getting away with just about everything he could do out there, having big spins at high speed and getting away with it. Then you got Chris Meek, equal pressure on his shoulders coming here, and straight from the off, issues, punctures, now a problem with the engine on the car and going no further. And then you've got Chris Ingram again, bad luck, daft things going wrong with the car. The car's beautifully engineered, and it's the little things that are letting him down, and that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, but on the flip side of that, the fact is, because of the nature of the rally, it does mean that Chris has lost 4 minutes, but actually still in the rally, and he's still there for a fight.
Ingram, that is. Chris Meek, unfortunately, is not going to come back out.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's the nature of it. I think it's peaks and troughs with this rally. You give and you take away, and that's the beauty of it. But of course, sad to see Chris not really.
Last time out winners, Ryan champion Craig Thorley, that was exactly their game plan, wasn't it? Minutes back overall, and look what happened on the final day.
Exactly that. So Adrian Hetherington said to me this morning, he started the second day of the rally 17th overall, ended the rally on the podium. And that just shows you what this rally is like. Can you believe that? You wouldn't get that on a normal day UK rally or in Ireland or anything like that. And you probably wouldn't get that on a WRC round. It's just unique to this rally. It really is.
Yeah, and it's something we do love because it means we don't lose our star protagonists if they have a bit of rotten luck like Chris Ingram has had. And as I say, I do have to stress that there are daft things that have gone wrong, and that car is brand new out of the box. In 1978 was the last time we saw a TR7 V8 of that ilk. As you see, Ocean Price into this 10th stage. He's pushing it through there. I mean, I wouldn't say he looks absolutely nailed to the floor, but he's certainly not hanging about there because he knows he's lost that time.
Yeah, and it's Sweet Lamb. He's going to have gone into this with a slightly open mind, I would think. A stage of 2 halves, I guess, with the Sweet Lamb part of this before they head into the woods of Hafren. Very different prospect. It is very much split into 2 this stage. There's plenty of experience in Sweet Lamb. Oliver was testing here a few weeks ago, so he knows what to expect. But I think probably an open mind approach would be the best way to tackle this stage, I would say.
Somebody we've not talked about an awful lot, although you have spoken to him a couple of times so far. James Ford, Neil Shanks alongside in the Porsche 911. We know he's a quick lad, and he's crept his way into the top 10 while we've been busy talking about the trials, tribulations, the jeopardy of the battles. And as you can see, Oliver Solberg showing us the the approach that you need if you're going to be winning this rally from the front with no care for a long game plan. He said that he was going to take this one day at a time in the pre-rally forum. I thought he meant he was going to just ease his way in. That's not what he meant at all.
No, I think his game plan has probably changed slightly, if I was being honest. And just looking at the footage of Oliver over those jumps there, he looks a lot more angry.
It's like watching Petter, wasn't it?
Yeah, it probably was actually. Yeah, there was just a far more raucous approach to those jumps there than perhaps Ocean. Ocean was a lot neater and straighter,
more serene.
Yes, we have. Well, no, let's not discredit him too much, but it was a lot more straighter approach, whereas Oliver was certainly attacking them, I would say.
So the Porsches are starting to just come on strong a little bit at the bottom end of the top 10. James Ford, Neil Shanks in 9th place. You've got Richard Tuthill in 12th now. Those cars, we've seen them with the RAC as recently as last year. They will be watching what's going on up ahead. They know the game plan for a Porsche driver here.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at James Ford, Silver Fern rally winner. That's just as long as this rally, if not a little bit longer over.
Silver Fern rally manager was over here actually checking things out the other day.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And that's the thing. So James knows what it takes to win a marathon rally as well. Slightly different car. I think he won Silver Fern in a Mark II, but...
And Tuthill with the Safari experience.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, Tuthill's got massive experience of marathon rallies. And Richard has been certainly on the pace of the British Historic Rally Championship this season, has been hands down, you know, in a tussle with Martin McCormack, yet we come here and he's just finding himself sort of 15, 20 seconds a stage off Marty's pace. So interesting to see.
It did make me laugh yesterday. I was indulging in the poetry of the roadside servicing, and Richard Tuthill just said very flatly to me, no, on the Safari we have to do this, and right now we have to do this.
Oh, that's the beauty of it. We don't see it often in stage rallying in the UK anymore, roadside servicing, and we've talked about the romantic aspect of the Roger Albert Clark rally, and that's just part of it, I think.
There's a man who went into the final day last year in that battle for the lead. He was tied on time with Jason Pritchard coming into the first stage today. He's dropped some time through that Moherin stage there, hasn't he?
Yeah, a bit of a shame for him. He was shocked at the stage time this morning, really shocked at the stage time of the front-running crews. I think it's just taken him by surprise. Paul hasn't been in that car very much, though, so I think that's probably showing for him now. He is more than capable. He is really a capable driver, top guy. But I just think probably lack of not being in that car for the last 12 months has really hurt him today.
Seen Ben Friend climbing his way up the leaderboard as well after that final stage. He was, sorry, the final stuff, the last stage, far from the final stage. He was 13 back from Seb Perez in the Stratos, who's now going strong as well in the all-glass Mark II with Cliff Simmons alongside. So, you know, Ben Friend, former 2019, was it, British Historic Rally Champion? He'll be pushing on now, I think. Yeah,
I think so. We didn't get a chance to speak to him at the end of my hair, and Cliffy was like, oh no, we've got to go, we're late. I mean, he wasn't late because the stage end is just up there and service is just the other side of the stage end at the moment. But
cracking shots of the Stratos from the drone just at the other side of Sweetland there. Producer Wayne shaking his head in admiration. That's not the drone, is it, actually? No, that's actually the long shot from Luke Lend, one of our camera operators. So here comes the drone shot now, and wow. So he wasn't shaking his head in admiration, he was shaking his head because I got it wrong. It wasn't the drone shot, as is the life of a special stage presenter with producer Wayne.
Look, we're all live, we're all doing our best and having a look at that. But I mean, these are some cracking shots. I mean, Sweet Lamb does look very good from the air, doesn't it? Look at that.
You say it looks very good from the air. I think in that Stratos, it is a rocket. It sounds as good as it goes, and you know what, I don't want to tempt anything, but reliability wise it's had a few little grumbles early on. Maybe they've got them sorted now, and maybe we'll see a Stratos fighting on day 5 of the Roger Albert Clark Rally at last, which is what Steve Perez always wanted for that car.
More than capable, though, Seb, isn't he? I mean, we touched on that earlier when we were talking about the end of my Heron, about the seat time that Seb's had of late, the experience that he's had. He is a podium sitter on the Roger Albert Clark Rally, so again, another bloke that knows exactly what it takes. Another crew, you know, let's not forget Gary is alongside him as well, Gary McElhenney. Another crew that knows exactly what it takes to put a car on a podium on the RAC.
Seb has to work so hard inside that car. If you've seen any of the videos of the tests that they've done on the build-up to this rally, left and his right foot are just doing a dance on the pedals, a bit like that. Is it the Sundance video of Ari Vatanen back in the Pikes Peak days? It's almost like that watching Seb, because he's having to constantly brace himself as well as having to switch between the pedals. It's such an agile car, so it's moving around an awful lot. It's got the power of a Porsche, as Seb described it on Wednesday at the ceremonial start, and the agility of a top-spec Mark II Escort, and that sounds like a formidable combination, but by goodness, I bet it's a handful.
Yeah, it will be, and you know, the taller spec ratio wheels on that as well will make it a very, very different prospect to drive from a Mark II. There's all sorts of conversations with the Mark II Escorts about running sort of 15-inch wheels to see what dynamic that gives the cars, but I think by and large everybody's gone on to the 13s this weekend, and you know, that does put it at a very different kind of balance with those taller wheels on the rear. It's a lot shorter wheelbase. It will be a very, very different car than the Mark II that we took to second overall.
Just looking at the classes, Matt, we're looking at the overall field now coming through this 10th stage of the rally, but in the classes we've got some battles opening up there. I'm fascinated by the Cat 1 battle, because we had that Volvo PV544 of Martin Linden, glorious car leading overnight, and now you've got a Ford Anglia with Pete Stimson and Mark Butler leading in Cat 1, and there's a good, what is there between them? There's a good now 14 seconds in between them, so that's a hell of a pace from an Anglia, another little car to be chucking around these stages.
Yeah, I think that guy's actually from down in the southwest of the UK as well, and that Anglia, I mean, when we talk Cat 1, these are old cars, you know, these are really, really old cars, and that Volvo as well. They're cracking bits of kit, and it's lovely to see that competition, and that's why these categories are really, really special to historic rallying, because it does break it up. It's not all about you know, the top flight guys. We can look at the Cat 1s and the Cat 2s, and they have their own little fights as well, and then we can break them down into the classes as well, like you just said. So yeah, it's really, really interesting to see how everybody's so evenly matched as well, considering the massive difference between like a Ford Anglia and a 544 Volvo.
Have we lost Paul Mankin then from the rally at this stage? Because Paul Mankin was third in that class, wasn't he? Overnight, Thomas Pidden in the Mark I Cortina, now slotting into third behind Richard Holdsworth in the Ford Cortina GT. That just reminds me of watching old footage of Roger Clark in his early days in that red Mark I Cortina GT. Is Paul Mankin still showing the results?
No, it doesn't look like he is on mine either.
He and Graham Wild were going ever so well last night, and it looked like we were going to get a real battle, because Paul is a quick boy, and he was going to work his way through that class, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and a shout out to Andrew as well, because Andrew and Thomas actually stopped on the first stage yesterday. They stopped for the day yesterday on SS1. They've come all the way from Hong Kong and Australia respectively. It's a long old trip.
Talking of Australians, we just met a rather interesting character, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. He was trying to sell. You were right. Wings for rally cars at the stage end here to anybody that would basically.
Fair play. His overheads are pretty high, aren't they? Because he's come all the way from Australia.
He's going to Scotland as well. He's absolutely fearless. He's determined to sell these wings. I'm not sure what car they were off. I think they were off a Mark II. So if anybody needs some Mark II wings, then give the Aussie guy a shout.
They're probably on the way to Scotland by now. There's a story that's come out of a bit of chatter after the first day, which I do need to discuss with you, because this is going to be really interesting to see. Matthew Robinson and Sam Collis back in that Escort, and they're back and they're fast. But unfortunately, former winners of the event, of course, they went out on day one. Now, they're getting the car fixed, they've gone home, such is the nature of this rally, as you touched on earlier, and they're coming back for the Scottish leg, and they want to win the big one. The Pundershaw, the punishing Pundershaw stage, the 33-miler on Monday. And they actually said, in their words, nothing to lose now, so we just want to come back and win that stage. That is going to be like all hell, no fury. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, exactly. I think while probably Matt thinks everybody's going to take their eye off the ball a little bit, they're going to be concentrating on overall results. They're going to do what they need to do to manage the position that they're in or whatever. So he thinks he can probably go out there and just go absolutely gung-ho, put the newest tyres he can possibly find on and just have big skids. And he's always said, go as fast as you can for as long as you can. That's all Matt ever says, fast as you can for as long as you can.
Robbo and Sambo with nothing to lose, going for the win on that stage on Monday is actually a terrifying prospect.
It's not. It's lovely. If you were in that forest watching it, it's
You
absolutely...
wouldn't want to be in the car, though. You wouldn't want to be Sambo.
No, definitely not. But he's used to it, you know. He is used to it. He knows what it takes. Some good footage coming out there, Paul.
Yeah, no, back to the action. As you can see, we've got these lovely drone shots mixed in with the long camera shots in this Sweet Lamb Havering stage, and it just gives you a perspective, doesn't it, that we don't always get to give you. We can be so much more indulgent, and that's a car we watched there, Richard Jordan, James Grattan Smith, that has been rebuilt after their huge accident on the Woodpecker. Car Prep, Nick Carr, former BTRDA Rally First champion, now running the preparation business. We'll have a feature with him because we caught up with him on a roadside management service as well. But that car's been rebuilt from the ground up basically after that accident to get out for this rally. He's a newcomer to the world of escort preparation. These cars are not cheap. These customers are far from undemanding. So that is a challenging prospect in itself, having to rebuild that car and get it ready for the RAC.
Yeah, but look, when Nick came out with, I think it was the start of this year, maybe even the start of last year, when he came out with sort of the car prep business and these cars turned up, they were just like another level, and the quality spoke for itself. I mean, I thought it was a new shell for Richard Jordan. Maybe I'm wrong. You'd be able to correct me there, but it was a big accident for Richard on the Woodpecker. It hospitalised James Grattan Smith as well. So there was a lot of discussion between the two of them about what the next steps were, whether they would come back out at all, whether they would come back for the Roger Albert Clark Rally. So they elected to skip the last round of the British Historic and get the car ready, and more importantly get themselves ready for this 5-day adventure. So I'm really glad that they have, because they're just plugging away this weekend. They're doing a good job.
Yeah, it may be a new shell. When I say the car was fully rebuilt, I mean they had to get it ready basically for this event, which is just an incredible achievement. Dad, of course, Baz Jordan, a winner of the Open Rally here. We've mentioned that a few times today. And there might be another Jordan on top, but it was all about getting some confidence in the car in the this rally. As you would have expected, these spectator shots in Sweet Lamb Havering don't quite paint the picture that we've seen this morning, and I think it's important that we do point out, if you are coming to watch any of the stages here, you must pay attention to what you're doing, not just in the stage, but when you're parking for the stage as well. Access to the stage, parking on the road. You know, the rules of the road, the highway code still exists, and the police are stakeholders of this event, but they need to keep things safe as well. Matt, we've had a few niggles with spectators this morning, and we just need to push that message home.
Look, I'm the first one to recognise the desire and the passion in people to come and watch the rally. There's nobody out there that would be doing the same, but look, you've got to be sensible. I just don't want you to be the one that really ruins the whole rally for everybody else, and it can be easily done. So we just ask everybody to just use their heads, you know. It doesn't take a lot. Just be sensible, think about what you're doing, have a second think about what you're doing, make sure it's safe, make sure it's sensible, don't cause disruption, and if we all sort of look after that, take that same ethos, then we're still going to be going in 4 days' time. That'd be good.
Yep. Wise words, and you would do well to heed them, please. As you can see, glorious scenes here on the Roger Albert Clark Rally. It's just a nice haze just as the car heads towards the sun, and then the weather this weekend has been very kind to us so far as well, which helps. I just absolutely love those drone shots, just giving us some real perspective. Sweet Lamb is just one of those stages from above where you can see the landscape behind, and you can imagine the stories that have unfolded there that we've all enjoyed watching over the years in the WRC and everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those stages where if you are a little bit brave, certainly in the second half as we head into Havering part of the stage, then you can, fortune does favour the brave. Looking at the stage times that we're presented with at the moment on the screen, if you have a look at Adam Milner and Royce Jarvis's time at the moment, 16:58, 35 seconds faster than Neil Weaver and Jack Morton, who are currently, 7th overall in the main rally, and they are 35 seconds faster than them. That's a Cat 2 Ford Escort Mark 1. That's very, very impressive stage time. Unfortunately, Adam Milner retired on the first stage, or at least didn't complete the first stage. I think it was a rotor arm, I think he said, that failed. Got back out later on yesterday, and I think with those kind of stage times, could have been well within the top 5 at this point if he'd have completed all the stages. So
Really impressive last time out as well, wasn't he?
Oh, massively so. Absolutely massively. I think it was a top 5 result for him overall. Just huge kudos to the guy. Every time he contests a historic rally, people are just in awe of what he can do with a Mark 1 Escort. So impressive indeed.
Hello to you if you're watching from home, wherever you tuned in, if you are just tuning in fresh from whatever you've been doing. This is the 2023 Roger Albert Clark Rally. I'm Paul Woodford and that is Matt Cotton. And on the stage right now you can see some big air and some big skids. Stefan Stoof, isn't it? Di Roberts had a bit of a tricky day yesterday. Won't go too much into that, but had a wheel come off the car, and he's obviously fighting back now. Former winner, one of only two Mark 1 Escorts to have won the Roger Albert Clark Rally overall.
Oh, absolutely! A master of the snow in the snowy years. I mean, that was an epic adventure in itself. The whole day.
That was quite remarkable, wasn't it? Because he's a tarmac specialist from Belgium.
Absolutely. You know, his experience over in Belgium is like second to none. He rallies in a Sapphire Cosworth as well over in Belgium. We saw him in Ypres a few months ago. So turning his hand to gravel was really quite impressive from him, and he's done that over a period of years. Actually, he's just continued to up his pace. And okay, he himself will say that he got lucky on the snowy year, but nevertheless, it's very impressive to win the RAC rally.
Here we go then, is the TR7 V8, the David Appleby engineering car, speaking to the team. This car is so meticulously prepared to the spec and standard of the works car. They've got Roger Clark's works car in their workshop, and the inlet plenums have got different grading of galvanisation across the bodies, and they have no idea why, but they've matched it exactly, because that's what the works cars have. That's the level of detail that's gone into the build. This is the third one of 6 they're going to be building of these works spec TR7 V8s, and obviously they're building them a bit like RSD did with the Fiat 131s, and they're a business, they want to sell them to customers to go rallying in the UK, and goodness me, do we want to see them. So they're trying to prove the car. That's part of the project this weekend. They knew they'd have some niggles. But what a glorious car, and that's the dynamic that I was looking forward to seeing. Chris Ingram in that TR7 V8, swinging it round with his Tony Pond Tash and his Tony Pond right foot, as it turns out.
I think probably if anybody had said somebody's building a TR7 V8, you know, several years ago, you would have got laughed out of sort of historic rallying. But when you look at who's doing it, and it's David Appleby, the experience that David has, and his son as well. It's a family affair down there at DAE, down in Tiverton. You know, massively experienced. Aston Martin sort of works or satellite works team in the past with modern day racing. Serious engineering capability from that outfit, and I think just when you know that David Appleby's doing it, you think, okay, it's going to be good.
I'm not sure you can hear that on your footage. Certainly we can't quite pick it up from here, but our cameraman, who is in charge of that footage that you see on the screen there, has reported that the V8 in Ingram's Triumph is not actually sounding very healthy through there at Sweet Lamb.
He did say he was nursing a bit of an issue, so we let him go from My Heron here, where we were at the end earlier this morning, and he did say that he was nursing an issue, so perhaps that's what it was.
And not to take away, when we're talking about this TR7 V8, I'm abundantly aware that there are some guys out there competing in TR7 V8s who do a marvellous job in all sorts of conditions. Anthony Windle was out at Cadwell Park in the Circuit Championships weekend. We've got 2 others, including Frank Tundo in the Safari car here this weekend. So TR7 V8s are nothing new to rallying, but we haven't seen them either prepared for or aimed and focused for the front of the field quite like this David Appleby car. So that would, if you're wondering why we're putting so much emphasis on that when there are other TR7 V8s out competing, that's why. This is just, if you can imagine your average Clubman competitor, even your fast Clubman competitor in a Mark II Escort, this is your next level up. But we've never seen that in a TR7 V8, and that's exciting because, like the Fiat 131s, which, by the way, someone who works at RSD commented on the stream the other day to say we need to get Matt Edwards or someone back out in one of these 131s. We completely agree, don't we?
Can you imagine that? A 131, a Porsche 911, a TR7 V8, the Mark II Escorts. It's just all...
Lancia Stratos.
Stratos, of course. Like, all of a sudden, historic rallying really comes alive, you know. It's healthy now, but you add that extra dynamic of the different sort of manufacturers and the different brands out there, and it just brings a whole new world to it. It would be very entertaining to see that in RAC 2025.
The sun is just falling perfectly for these shots, and you could just see the landscape stretching away in Sweet Lamb. The spectators dotted around on the hillside as these rally cars make their way through the second day of this grueling competition. 350 stage miles in total, to remind you, over 5 days in 3 different countries. This is the longest, most challenging rally for over 30 years, a fact that the organisers of the Roger Albert Clark are incredibly proud of, and rightly so. Kev Proctor and Jamie Edwards, who are leading leading the 90s. I was trying to think of the right expression because there's not many cars in those Class 4A, Class 4B battles, so I like to think of it as they're leading the 90s right now. I'm taking this right back there because that Sierra Codsworth is just amazing. Jamie Edwards is loving every minute of it. Thumbs up at every opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a shout out to the Galant of Wayne Sisson, who was a bit of a trailblazer, I guess, last time around, brought the Galant out. Of course,
2019 first time we saw that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Seeing it at the Leominster auctions at the service, I couldn't believe there was one of those and also a legacy part there.
Yeah, and of course George Lepley as well, a very rapid national driver. He brought a Galant out this year as well in the British Historic Rally Championship. They are allowed, they've got to be obviously historic rally specifications, so there's certain limits that they have to adhere to. They've got to be FIA spec as well, just due to the class and that age of vehicle. But yeah, it's fascinating to see. I mean, to be honest, it's more my era. It's just that gives me the shivers probably more than anything else. Those kind of cars.
Me as well. Seeing George out, I actually said on the coverage of what rally was it we first saw? I said Group A is well and truly back, and the anti-lag was up to the max. The car was sweeping around the stage just like a Group A car used to when I was growing up. Just like you, that's my era too. And there was quite a bit of discontent out there from the stalwarts of historic rallying. It has to be escorts, has to be rear-wheel drive. Do you know what? Historic rallying is just that. It's a chance for us to reclaim eras of the sport which have fallen away because of natural progression, but we get them back, and we didn't have the escorts. You know, back when the Historic Rally Championship was first a thing, it was all PV 544s and Sunbeam Tigers and older cars, a lot of Anglias, a lot of Mark 1 Cortinas. Mark 2 escorts were just creeping in, and then you started to get the Stobart cars in, and there we went, and the Mark IIs really then gathered force and momentum. And that'll happen with Group A. And believe me, you'll all be, I hope, in agreement in a few years' time when we've got really healthy fields of Group A historics as well. But maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. Look, people don't like change, do they? At the end of the day, and I think we've all got to embrace it. There's a place for them. There's definitely a place for them. There's a category for them. I'm sure, you know, as you say, back in Category 1, everybody was saying, "Oh, we don't want the Mark IIs in," and it's just change. And I think if we embrace it, we all learn to sort of work together with it. I think it's going to be good for everybody, you know.
Guilan Demavius, interesting adventure from him so far in that Mark II. He was saying he came into the regroup last night in Walters after the final stage, and he just said, "Look, I don't know these stages. I'm struggling, especially in the dark. I couldn't see for camera flashes. I'm just not enjoying myself here just right now." But he said, "It's a new day tomorrow."
Yeah, massively experienced though. You mustn't, you know, don't underestimate that a season in the Drive DMAC Junior WRC effectively, you know, doesn't give you knowledge and power to be able to contest stages like this. But then when you see the level that everybody is sort of 10, 15 cars ahead of him, it just you have to really appreciate how just quick they're going compared to somebody with his kind of experience.
I think he was just a little bit deflated that he wasn't further up in those battles and just couldn't get his head around the stages as much. His dad, Gregoire Demavius, in the glorious Toyota Celica, which we will see in around about that time on the leaderboard. We will be wrapping up this live broadcast so we can go and concentrate on tonight's Rally Report show and put the work into that. Phil Bramwell will be back with you live in the meantime, as will Matt Cotton, with action and reaction through the day. Just after 3 o'clock, I think Phil is live in the next stage. If I can bring up my... before I do that, I just want to mention young Jack. Alex Hughes has sent... We've had quite a few people send us pictures of their kids watching the coverage this weekend. My oldest sent me a picture of him watching it in college. I sent him a message saying, "Don't be watching that in class." And he said, "No, it's good, because my law teacher in college actually understood what we were doing. She put it on at the front of the class while they were doing some revision work, and they had the Roger Albert Clark Rally on at White College in Hull in the background of the class." So fair play to Mason's law teacher. We are fully behind that, aren't we, Matt? And that's exactly exactly the sort of college I'd want to be going to as well, so we made the right choice there. Yeah, just after 3 o'clock. So if you tune in at 3 o'clock, we'll have the second Meherin stage. Are you going to be live on that one as well, Matt? Is that the one where you were live at the end?
Yeah. Where we a repeat run of this morning alongside yourself, and then what we will do is we'll hot-foot it to the end of Sweet Lamb Hafren 2 to get there and to get all the up-to-date reactions, and then you can grab all the end-of-day interviews for our highlight show just around 8 o'clock or whenever that may be.
Yeah, I need plenty of time to put my Cossack hairspray on and get dressed into my outfit for tonight.
I can almost smell it coming from the studio.
Good, because I wouldn't want you to smell anything else coming from the studio. We spent a lot of time in here this week. Produce away to myself. There you are, Gregoire Numavius in that Toyota Celica. Look at that, man. Just look at the sight of that. I mean, we've seen that car before. It came here with that grippy. I remember seeing it parked in Leicester with the 240 RS that they brought that time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gorgeous. It's just fascinating. These are the old. You just want to put a bit of a filter on the screen with a bit of scratch and a VHS down at the bottom right-hand side, and it just evokes so many memories. Just changing the subject really quickly. I mentioned earlier about Adam Milner's time of 16:58 through this stage, the one that we're currently watching at the moment at Sweet Lamb Hafren 1. It is just 10 seconds off Marty McCormack's time of 16:48. How fast is Adam Milner driving that Mark 1? We're just starting to get our times coming in now at the moment. Oliver Solberg then setting the pace so far in this stage, 16:29. We don't have a time for Ocean Price, so let's just sit tight and see if that emerges before we go off there. There we go.
Ocean Price just dropping in behind there, so he's... Yeah, so it's almost another 10 seconds back, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Oliver is now on a charge. I think this is the difference between Oliver just getting used to this Ford Escort Mark II. 16:29 for Oliver Solberg in this stage, 16:38 for Ocean Price, and that extends his lead to 16 seconds after SS10.
Frustration will now be creeping in a little bit for Ocean. He needs to remember, and of course he will be reminded from all angles to remember there's a long way to go, and it's not all flat to the floor. Oliver Solberg, though, will be gaining confidence with every single stage where he's taking that time, because he, genuinely at the beginning of this rally didn't know which way it would go, and I think he was a little bit worried that having come here with the pressure, even though he said he wasn't worried, you don't want to be dropping time and flagging somewhere when you're doing this as a full-time job elsewhere. He didn't want that.
I was going to say, as a professional driver, it's always going to be some pressure. You're never going to come somewhere and think that nobody's going to have a certain expectation level of you. It's just part of the job. It's what they have to deal with, what they have to cope with. So I'm sure he probably goes to sleep at night thinking, I hope I can deliver here, because he's not going to want to go back home. He's not want to go back to the blooming service area with Petter standing there with his hands in his pockets coming back into service. To be fair, I wouldn't want to do that, because Petter will always be his biggest critic. It's just part of the game. These guys know.
Right, we are going to wrap things up there from stage 10 in Sweet Lamb and Hafren. We hope you've enjoyed that as much as we have. More live coverage on the way just after 3 o'clock, so not long to wait. And we're obviously going to have that rally report show tonight at 8 o'clock. I'm going to go do some work on that now. If there's anything you'd like us to feature, just let us know. Comment on the stream. Tell us the sort of cars you want to be seeing, because we are going to feature plenty of cars, characters, drivers and stories as we go through this Roger Albert Clark rally. At the moment, Oliver Solberg and Elliot Edmondson lead the way in this, it's turning out to be a pretty exciting rally, isn't it? 16 seconds now the lead from Ocean Price and Rodri Evans. Martin McCormack, Barney Mitchell still holding firm in third place. We'll be back live very soon here at the Roger Albert Clark Rally. Thanks for tuning in.